whatever. What do you want to be called, good sir?
Soho Johnny is fine, Jesse. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Thank you. I want to talk about what you do and who you are specifically, but there's a question today that I'm asking absolutely everybody that comes on. Actually, it's a question of the week. If you could choose to be any animal, and it's an icebreaker, you don't have to get too detailed, obviously. Any animal in the world, what would you be?
Any animal in the world, what would I be? You know, what my gut reaction to that is something that's going to make everyone laugh. But actually, an animal that came right now is a kangaroo. Now, why in the world would I say kangaroo? Because I guess because the kangaroo has the pouch, and sometimes, you know, you're carrying other somebody else or just trying to help somebody else to get through difficult times. And I think that's part of the passion. Ironically, well before the coronavirus crisis that we're all going through, whatever you want to call it, is part of the passion of what happened and where Soho Johnny organically came into its own.
So I want to talk to you about Soho Johnny, not only the persona that Soho Johnny is, but also what you do. So can you just give a brief description of what you actually do for not only your own personal stuff, but the community as well?
Sure. I'll delve into the history in a minute, but basically I'm producing shows, live shows now. They always have a benefit towards a charity. Usually it's American Cancer Society because I lost my dad years ago to that. And and this is a very positive, not a negative thing, but now I'm going to do one for coronavirus, and there's a personal element of that too, which I guess I'll share with the viewers later on in the show. And I do musical concerts. I've done some acting, and now I've been recording myself as a recording artist for music. And it all is about a passion of music and entertainment and the connection with the audience. But it really was born out of not so much of myself, and of course my love of music and everything and entertainment, but it was born out of outreach. Okay, and my roots. Well, I guess I should talk a little bit about my past, Jesse.
Yeah, go ahead. This is honestly for you. I'll let you say whatever you want. If you dig a hole, it's on you, though.
I was born in Manhattan, in the Big Apple, so to speak, back way in the day, and my parents eventually moved to the Boogie Down Bronx, and when I was going to school there, and when I was in grammar school, going on to high school, somewhere about that, we was living in an apartment. And it was, by the way, it's great being brought up in the city, okay, the cultural diversity. And one thing I've learned is working from people from all walks of life. And, you know, the beauty of creation, the one thing that's uniform without, I always think to myself, is the beauty of diversity coming together for a common goal and a common good. And so just living in a melting pot like that, I think is an advantage. What happened is, you know, back the Bronx in those days was, you know, it was, you know, a trying place to be. Back, I guess we were talking in the early 60s, early 70s. I ended up having my friends come over because eventually my parents bought a house with a garage in the back. And my friends would come over after school, and I had the black light, and I had a strobe light, and it was what is now we call classic rock at the time. And we were hanging out, and I just started to enjoy, you know, partying, but also putting a smile on people's faces and with music. And I was kind of an awkward entertainer even back then. And, you know, the love, you know, and I just developed that love going on from there. And the funny part about it is all our parents and my friends' parents were kind of happy that we were inside, you know, my family's garage rather than be on the streets in the Bronx when we were kids. You know, there was a lot of gangs on the streets and everything like that. So, you know, quantum jump from there. My family goes back 4 generations in Soho in downtown Manhattan in trucking businesses, and my grandfather coming here. And, you know, it's a very traditional story that many of the viewers have, such as myself, is coming from a poor immigrants family into the city and trying to, you know, make ends meet my family was into kind of salvaging, okay, like paper, like they would take paper on these carts. My grandfather would have these carts, cardboard, whatever, make a couple of pennies, whatever, true story. And a big part of Soho was manufacturing back in the day. It was kind of, and if you even go back even before that, it used to house the slaves. But a lot of history in Soho, which is preserved now by the Landmark Commission, so it doesn't get knocked down and build these large skyscrapers. But 4 generations in Soho, working in trucking and working for family businesses and dealing with people, and again, diversity. But I kept, and I got involved with real estate and had a brokerage and a management company, and I hosted events, and I started renting out for events. And it was always a parallel to me about the entertainment, even though I didn't focus directly towards it. And fast forward again, my dad had gotten cancer, and it'll be 25 years in a couple of weeks on June 9th, which I was going to do a memorial. And I kind of latched on to cancer, and I wanted to do something. We're all mourning, we grieve, and we're going through so much of it now. My heart goes out to everybody, and I'm now a part of them. We'll get into that later, but it's so important for us to try to look at the positive and elevate each other during these trying times. But back then, because of my dad, he inspired me, and I started an allegiance with the American Cancer Society. And that was kind of the driving force where I combined trying to do something good in my humble way with my love of music and and the gift of entertainment, and that love and adoration you get back and forth, the reciprocal connection you have with the audience. So besides just producing the events, I'm kind of animated. I'm kind of a performer myself. I get behind the mic and I'll sing. I'll do duets with the artist, and I received over doing this time and time again so much love and so much that has been continually putting wind into my sails. And some acting gigs came up, which I'm getting more involved with now. I'm recording a lot of music myself, and I've got some exciting projects in the wind and some duets, and just continued. And the funny part about it, Jesse, is that it just was really more organic for me. It's not like something, that was just pivotal one moment, like I want to be a performer. I think and the funny part is, I'll tell you, going back to when I was a kid, I used to stutter. Okay. I was a very nervous child, and I used to stutter. So even back then, I kind of put in my mind, I want to rise above this self-consciousness, or whatever you call it, because we all have our limitations or fears as we grow up, right? It's part of childhood. It's part of our character development. So I made it a point to try to be more articulate and get over stage fright. And what worked for me is that, I get out of my own way. And when you're focusing on something that is really good to help somebody, one of the beauties of entertainment is that you take people out of their life a little bit, or whatever's on their mind, whatever they're worrying about, and try to give them a little relief and alleviate that with a smile. It's a temporary respite, as you would call it. But and you tie it to something noble where you're doing something good and you have that connection. It means so much to me. It's developed into a whole enterprise now, and it's been. I get so much love, and artists approaching me to perform, and it just keeps growing. And but it's very, very important for me to have a philanthropic goal. So I will also mention here that because one of the things that I kind of talk about, Jesse, is it's important for us to all be role models to each other. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, what you look like, what you have. Okay, we all leave an imprint or an impression on somebody. It could be walking down the street like I did not too long ago when there was an elderly lady, and it was a sunny day, and I just said a couple of kind words, and I put a smile on and made her laugh. Just small little things like that. That I love the whole audience that's listening to us to do maybe after the show, just to do a little bit like that, because I think it's so much important now, going through what we're going through with this pandemic. That and another thing I say is to allude to what I'm saying is we may be social distancing, but that does not mean social isolation. When I was a kid, it would take a week to send a letter across, to another country or to Europe or China. Today, you could send an email and you could send a message in a minute. Okay. And I think it's so important to pick up the phone, call people you haven't spoken to. They could be going through trying times. They could go into a loss, whatever. And, we kind of elevate. So I usually don't get too personal, but I'm going to do that on your show with your permission, because I think it's important. I just lost my mom. Okay. and I just lost my mom to the coronavirus. So it's very, very personal to me. Of course, I'm mourning, and I'm some distraught because we're human beings, and it's a mother's love. But it's not just for me. It's that passion or that energy, drives me even more, like it did when I lost my dad, to try to do something and try to make a difference. Because if I can make somebody feel just a little bit better, because we can't all carry the world, right? But we can maybe take a little piece. And that's one of the things that helps drive me in my whole Soho Johnny platform and everything that I'm doing right now.
So first, before I'm sorry for.
I know I'm not. I understand, and I know. Thank you for that. And it's all good. We, for everybody. I was blessed. Okay, there's no good age to lose a loved one. Okay, but I was blessed that mom lived to be 93, and I use my dad inspired me in some ways, but I think music, I was inspired from my mom. I mean, she was very, very musically inclined her whole life, and I take that with me. And I just want to share that, we have to hold on to whatever. I'm not getting not getting into religion, but we have to hold on to whatever faith we have and our beliefs. And no matter what it is, as long as it's a common, and even if people are atheists out there that's listening to us right now, it's just a common sense humanity. We're part of humanity to outreach and help each other. Okay. So important. I use the element of music and entertainment because it's a feel good to me because I derive energy from it. That's my currency. Okay. Of course, there's always the business part of it, Jesse. It's part of life. That's our way of life, right? But, if you can have that beautiful feeling, because that's the true investment you make in yourself that's going to matter in the end.
Your story that you're talking about right now with your mom really touches me, because the whole point of this show, the whole discovery of this show on my end, I'm a performer. I travel across Western Canada, but that's gone for me now. Whoop-de-doo. It'll come back eventually at some point. The point of this show is when coronavirus first happened, I started hearing these reports of the little old ladies and the little old men that are locked in the old folks' homes and stuff like that. And they're not allowed to leave their room, which is insane to me, right? We're at 60 days or something now that we're locked up already. So these people have been in solitary confinement.
It's probably approaching 60 days. And that was the experience. I mean, people could say it's horrible, it's this, and that. I think it was necessary. In my own, I mean, I'm being personal, but I'm sharing this with everybody because I want, we're all there. And it's important that we're doing trying to touch each other. They're all there and we have to hold on. We have to really push. Okay. We have to allow our time to mourn. There's a time for this and time for that. But yes, my mom was in lockdown 2 months before or whatever it was. And I was so happy. My younger brother, Ron, he's got a beautiful family too, just the two of us, 2 siblings. And, she felt that she was in a retirement home, and I think they did a great job in protecting the citizens. But the devil somehow got through the door. Maybe it was the dog walker or a delivery. Who knows? Everyone's innocent, right? That's the the biggest enemy that we're facing now. Okay, and I know this show. I'm not trying to get too much into the pandemic and everything. Okay, but it's the 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? We can't avoid it, right now. Is fear. The biggest enemy. We have the greatest minds working on it, and we have these first responders. As I've lived my life, and we all live our lives, the definition of a first responder changes, whether it be someone at 9/11 that showed up to save people's lives, or somebody that wears a blue uniform that's protecting your security at night, or somebody that protects your house from burning down. They're all different. The military. Everybody's there to protect the public, and they're all in this case, it's the medical workers. It's their turn to step up, and I think they're doing a great job. And it's funny that there's only so much protocol we could do, but I think you see it now, and I'm so inspired by the uprising. I mean, at first when this happened, it was kind of a shock, right? Because during our lifetime, unless you're old enough, and there was one gentleman that I had posted that was interviewed that's old enough to remember the Spanish flu of 1918, that plague that killed like over 50 million people, I think. Now, they didn't have our technology and they didn't have our quick mode of communication like we do now that would have educated people a lot sooner. But, it's really fear. So we're doing everything we can. Large corporations and small people, they're all doing something. They rallied to the force. In the beginning, we were numb because it was a shock. Even myself, like we all, I wake up, I know consciously I'm thinking about it, but the way of life, when you wake up again, all of a sudden you say, oh my God, I just can't go to the store so easy and buy a loaf of bread. Let me protect myself. Can I touch this? Can I touch that? It's completely radically changing our behavior patterns. And I look for the good. What can we do? We look for the good. And what's the good? The good is, listen, being sanitary is never bad, right? Whether it be for the common flu or anything like that. Social distancing, I'm seeing, because I'm looking for the light, and I think we all have to shine light for each other, is, people, really banding together. And well before the coronaviruses, I've been quoted many times, every day is a blessing and a gift. And if we could all wake up with that, and if that's something that's kind of like a wake-up call for everybody out there to appreciate life better and each other and have that in our mind, which I'm seeing it happen now, it makes the quality of life that we offer to each other and our belief system better so that we can become better human beings and better brothers and sisters to everybody. That's part of what is inside me. With the entertainment as a parallel, that's my universe and kind of where I am right, where I've gotten today.
As entertainers, we talk about the first responders of the world and whoever it is, but it's my belief that entertainers are the second responders, because it's us that are going to knit society back together and some of those rifts in a therapeutic way, if that makes sense. On a lighter note than that, your music, what type of music exactly are you playing, and what type of stuff are you recording? What genres do you?
I'll talk about my last my last concert I did that got a lot of notoriety was probably last August, and it was a classic disco freestyle genre. Okay. And it was a festival, Jesse. It was American Cancer Society, of course, was a beneficiary. And I had a daytime session of about 5 hours and about 5 hours in the evening in a gigantic ballroom. And I don't even want to forget everybody. I wrote it down here because sometimes I forget. There was about 20 artists. I had the privilege of working with Danny Terrio. Many people remember Danny Terrio from Dance Fever. He taught John Travolta how to dance. He co-hosted it with me. God bless him. And a lot of people will know these artists or these bands back in the day: Heat Wave, Tavares, Sharon Brown, Fonda Ray, Monty Rock the Third. I call him Mr. Magnificent. I love him. He was the DJ in Saturday Night Fever. I remember his classic disco, Get Dancing, Double Exposure, Instant Funk, Arnell Carmichael, Jack and Jill, Planet Patrol, Harold Melvin's Blue Notes. And the list go. I had Constantine Maroulis. Well, he wasn't disco, but we know him from Rock of Ages. What a fantastic voice he has. So I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. But I assembled everybody for that time, and I just had a ball, and everybody. I made sure the artists were treated like family, and that's the type of, we call them gigs in the industry, right? That you'd want to pull off where everybody walks away with a smile on their face. And, a lot of work goes into it, Jesse, as you know, right? So much work, especially a day and evening festival. People were getting hotel arrangements there. And it was great. I raised some money and we had some fun. And, when I do things, I just get so much love back. And people, cancer survivors or people that lost, and, it really makes a difference to me.
So, I'm Canadian, so we don't do American Cancer Society up here. But anybody who's watching that's American, what I want you to do, and this is on me, go find the website for the American Cancer Society or the COVID Society, whatever the donation system is for COVID right now. And if you have it, just $3. I'm pretty sure everybody can afford $3, right? And if you can't afford $3, then take one of your old shirts, that you don't use anymore, wash it up, clean it up, and take it down to one of the homeless shelters or something, because the people are going to need this stuff. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that are only 1 or 2 paychecks away from
Mm-hmm.
out on that street right now, especially right now, uh, with what's going on. So support each other. That's the big thing. And if you know somebody that needs help, just bloody help them as best you can, because it's going to come back literally tenfold on what you do. Um, Johnny,
Absolutely. And Jesse, I just want to segue and just give a shout out to you in being a light to so many people with your show and what you're doing. I mean, I think it's so important. So I want to thank you, because we're all in it together. I know everyone says that, but you know, it's just that connection. It's just and yeah, like what you just said. I mean, and you know, and and if people don't have much, then you could just still make somebody feel good. You could still just be there, okay? And you know, the people, you know, a lot of times, you know, the people that have the least value the most. Sometimes life teaches us that, and sometimes it's sad that people have to live their whole lives to really appreciate what life is all about.
in the past, I've worked with a lot of different people, and sometimes just sitting down with somebody to talk to them for 2 or 3 minutes is all a person needs. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but to change their entire life, to give them hope, to give them humanity again,
Mm-hmm.
because you have that trauma happen to you, and sometimes you just can't pull yourself out. You need that hope from somebody else, that inspiration. Holy cow, we're already at 20 minutes. Holy cow.
But
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
I'm collaborating with another great philanthropist guy, so talented. His name is Scott Page. And we all know him. He was one of the original saxophonists from Pink Floyd. And I was working with him, and he did a great fundraiser that I was in LA with him for the Watts Conservatory in a bad, I think where it was a bad area of LA, which just brought, you know, education to children that didn't have, you know, that came from impoverished families, and brought education, musical education to them. Wonderful. As we're working on a few projects, I'm doing a tribute song, bringing back 2525. It's an old song from 1969, that those of us that remember it out there, from Zager. I think Zager was the original producer or writer. And I've got a list of artists that I may be doing duets with. Star Hansen and Davis. These are freestyle artists, this type of music that, you know, that I'm talking about now. But you know, it's segueing more and more into different things. I'm working on a reality show on the platform, and I'm collaborating with Scott and a few other people to, you know, kind of go worldwide. Maybe something. I guess I could compare it to something like many of the viewers remember Don Kirshner's concert series or something like that back in the day or whatever. And we're probably within a year or two, we're going to be going worldwide with this. And there's going to be a charity element. Scott and I are very, very strong-willed to make sure that there's something about that will always be part of everything that we do. And so again, I am so blessed because I have so many people around me that are so positive and so heartfelt that are supporting me. And I'm just so thankful about that. You know, it's funny how this all works out. And you know, it reinstills in me faith in humanity, and faith that you know, this we're going to do good. There's a lot of good to come. Entertainment is going to be much more necessary as things start opening up. We're going to do everything safe, right? But you know, people need that relief, that pressure relief valve. Okay, especially after the lockdown, they're craving to get out and enjoy, even if it be a simple dinner with your spouse or your family, and just have a couple of laughs, have a glass of wine. They're craving to watch a show. Okay, so it's the mandate of the entertainment industry to create an environment where people feel safe. Eventually, there's going to be, you know, a vaccine. Okay, I have no doubt about it, but it's just a matter of just bridging the time. So it's you know, it's just a matter of dealing with human nature. And in the economic part of it, Jesse, well, the whole economy, the whole worldwide economy got a black eye. Okay,
Yeah.
and it's going to take time to heal, and you know, we have to be frugal, and unfortunately, you call it recession and all these economic terms here, but we just have to take one day at a time, and and just deal with the facts. Remember, fear is always the enemy. We deal with the facts. We make a conscious decision. I just posted it earlier today. We have our moral compass always, and we go forward.
What you just said is amazing, specifically about finding hope in people. A lot of what's going on today is a lot of people watch the news, and just that's their whole world is, I'm going to watch Fox News or CNN, and it's just doom and gloom and all that stuff. But if a person takes a second we are literally 5,000 miles apart. I'm taking a second to connect with you, and you're taking a second to connect with me, and we're finding out, hey, we're not that different no matter where we are. And I think that's something that we have to remember, is that just because it's on the news doesn't necessarily mean that that's the truth. Dig a little deeper than what you're actually looking at, if that makes sense.
That's exactly what, it's funny. I mean, I got to quote my buddy Scott Page again. He says, he says, you could take a bunch of lemons and make lemonade out of it, and he compliments me. And that's part of what we're collaborating. It's like a get up and dance and, kind of let go type of thing. And we're shooting for our launch date. Concert is going to be Thanksgiving Eve, if everything goes right. A very pivotal night, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, because we feel at that point it's going to be a good time to be thankful, to give thanks to everything, and with prayers and respect, devout respect to everybody that lost. I am now one of you, but we must continue to value what life has to offer and be there for each other. Be a good father, be a good mother, be a good brother, be a friend, and even if it's somebody you don't know, do something. And like you just $3 for the Cancer Society. I've just started. I was approved from the IRS here for a foundation called Let Me Help, and it's going to be instrumental in a lot of these topics that we're talking about. It's going to be working parallel.
And when I say the Cancer Society, a lot of people are, oh, that's a huge business. Okay, fine. If you don't give to the Cancer Society, go find somebody that actually needs that $3 and buy them a bloody meal, something like that, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be a big donation or anything. I want to thank you for coming on. We're at 27 minutes and 40 seconds right now. And I'm going to end with a question. I know that in your current state, you might not be able to find something, but I'm sure you can somewhere deep in there. I ask every person that comes on, even during all this COVID stuff, this lockup stuff, what's one thing you've done today for yourself? Not for anybody else, but for yourself, to make yourself happy.
I went for a long walk, because this staying at home stuff is, I'm getting my belly back, and it's a beautiful day here in New York, and the sun is out, and I got some fresh air, and I got the oxygen to my brain to think about what I need to do and what I need to be proactive on. So take care of you. Physical fitness is important for everybody, to take care of yourselves, especially this. It's stressful. Okay. Yep. It's human nature. We're meant to be social creatures. So I just put a mandate out to everybody to love yourself, love yourself, not in a selfish way, but take care of yourself, because if you love yourself and you're taking care of yourself, you could be there for someone else, and they could be there for you. So very, very important. I want to mention one other thing that I posted the other day, Jesse. Yep. It came into my mind. There was a great, it was motivational for me, series that Stephen King did. And many people have read the book called Stand, and they made a mini series out of it. And it's about a virus killing 99% of the world. And it's the whole thing about the devil and God fighting for the end there, whatever. I think it was Gary Sinise was like the main protagonist. Had a lot of A-listers. It's just a great read or a series for people to watch now. And but in the end, it was all about kind of the parallel message that we're talking about here, you and I, about just uplifting. But my website, SohoJohnny.com, John Soho Johnny Pasquale, Facebook, Soho Johnny on YouTube. I'm on Instagram, and all the I wasn't really much of a tech guy, but I'm learning all these things now. And you can join up our mailing list on SohoJohnny.com. and stay tuned. We have a lot. And again, I want to thank you so much for Jesse for having me, and thanking you so much for being a light for so many people, as I know you do.
Well, we're all currently trying, and we need to get stuff out there and get people motivated and stuff. So, yeah, I'm trying my best, and so is everybody else. That's all we can hope for.
That's all we can do. If we all do a little bit of this, it becomes this.
That's exactly it. I want to thank you for being on Soho Johnny. Once again, all his stuff should be in the links. Theoretically, it should all be there. Like you said, tech is an issue sometimes, but it should be there. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And like, share the video. You know the deal. See you later, Johnny. Wave your hand like this before we end.
With love and appreciation always, Soho Johnny.